Hi there, you're listening to the Practical Stoic Podcast with your host, me, Simon Drew. If you'd like to listen to over 200 episodes that were recorded before 2020, then you can head to my Patreon site. It's patreon.com/Simon J.E. Drew. We'd love to have you there, and any support is greatly appreciated. We'd love to also have you on our Facebook community, the Practical Stoic Mastermind. But for now, enjoy the show. Hi there, my name's Simon Drew, and welcome to the Practical Stoic Podcast. Now, before I jump into telling you about our guest today, I just want to make sure you know that next week we do have Michael Tremblay coming on Practical Stoic Live, talking about Epictetus and his life and teachings. And then we've also got Sharon LaBelle coming on to talk about Stoicism and Buddhism. So two great conversations lined up for Practical Stoic Live, and I'd love to see you there. And if you want to be there and ask questions, then just head to patreon.com/Simon J.E. Drew and register there, and I'd love to see you. So apart from that, I want to welcome onto the show today a repeat guest who I'm sure that you guys have all absolutely loved in the past, Jerzy Gregorek. Now, Jerzy is old school in the best possible ways. I love talking to this guy. He's so knowledgeable of health and fitness. He's so knowledgeable of what it actually means to live a virtuous life. And seriously, he can teach us so much about how to live a great life just by talking about the health and fitness strategies that he uses for himself and his clients. So I want to tell you a little bit about him. And just so you know, you can hear his other interview that I did with him by also going to patreon.com/Simon J.E. Drew. So Jerzy Gregorek immigrated from Poland to the United States with his wife Aniela in 1986 as political refugees. He then won 4 World Weightlifting Championships and established 1 world record. In 2000, Jerzy and Aniela founded UCLA's weightlifting team, and as co-creator of the Happy Body program, Jerzy has been mentoring people for more than 30 years. In 1998, Jerzy earned an MFA in writing from Vermont College of Fine Arts, and his poems and translations have appeared in numerous publications, including the American Poetry Review. His poem, Family Tree, was the winner of Amelia magazine's Charles William Duke Long Poem Award in 1998. So, such a knowledgeable guest. I absolutely love it every time I get the chance to talk to him. So, without any further ado, I hope that you enjoy this interview with Jerzy Gregorek. Okay, so Jerzy Gregorek, I'm so glad to have you back on the show. I'm excited to talk to you again. I'm going to give you another chance to just introduce yourself to the whole audience again, just in case people don't quite know you yet. And then I know that you're relaunching the Happy Body, which is your health training program. And I want to give you an opportunity to tell everybody about, kind of why you're relaunching at this time and what you've brought that's new to the plate.
Hi, well, I'm Jerzy Gregorek, and then I created with my wife the Happy Body, and how it really a little bit of history about the Happy Body, because it's a program, the holistic whole program. Sometimes it's easy to miss and not understand. So in about 87, I started working as a personal trainer, and then in Los Angeles. And I coach people to be healthy, to be fit, to be attractive, to be lean, to be flexible, to be strong, to be powerful, all kind of different people, not to have drugs and medications and so on. And for 33 years, I've been doing this. So for about 10 years, when I coach people, then I noticed that, it's like Olympic weightlifting. What is the most important is to achieve the physical goals, like be lean or gain the muscle, be strong, and that everything else somehow fall into everything becoming better. So, when you really coach people to be strong and to be flexible, and to have good posture, well, they lose the drugs, they lose the medications, and they become healthier. They become, the immune system gets better and calmer. Everything is good and become happier. So, and they have more energy. So I understood that transparency is one of the most important parts of the system that people could really follow. And we were very, I would say, successful. I work about 15 hours a day, usually a lot of clients, and whatever we were doing worked, and people really liked what we did. So I thought, well, we have to put it somehow into a program so people could really benefit from it. So the first thing was to create some kind of transparency and numbers for the program to define what would that be, like a fit person and healthy, and a person that would be independent, a person that could follow the system on his her own at home, and everything that way. So we created a whole transparent numbers for flexibility, strength, and speed, and leanness, and ideal body weight, and all of it was created. And it took about 10 years to really put everything into the right language and present it the right way. And then we launched, the whole happy body weight 11 years ago. What really happened is in the last 11 years that what I noticed that people could achieve their physical goals and then would go backward and over the same story. So with a lot of people the same way. So, like somebody is 160 pounds and it becomes 120. So, and then 160 again. So I understood that something is going on with our mind that needs to be corrected or faced and looked into it. So I started looking into the believing system, the STEM system of our choices and how we really can do what we need to do. So I really found out that people can monitor themselves, and that's kind of an easy thing to do. But monitoring is not really enough. They can see how they do. They can chart everything, but they can also look at themselves doing something wrong and keep doing that and knowing that, and that really I was puzzled about that, what's going on here, and with me sometimes too. So I thought about that. It has to do something to do with how we feel, how we believe, and what is our how we know things, and how is our psychology or emotional health at that time. The whole strength of building up that strength of decisions at that moment, the hard choices that have to be somehow happen in order to create the right progress, and the brain that adjusts with the physical. So when the physical happens, when the speed of the physical happens for better, then the mind adapts to that. But if the physical is too fast, then the mind is behind. So you can force somebody to work out a lot to achieve the goals, to become lean. But if the mind is not adapting to the choices, to the changes in the physical, the person goes back. So it has to be some kind of a system, a help system with the mind, or slowing down the progression in order for the mind to adapt. But at the same time, a lot of has to be done on the mental side. So we adapt to the to sustainable progress and not to
Mm.
create a progress that is forced and fast. And we know a lot of programs. We know a lot of people that like push and push other people, and then the people simply achieve, but then break because they didn't change the mind. So what is that mind that is 160 and 120? So it's a different completely lifestyle.
Mm.
120 is a different way of living. It's a different way of liking things, and what the things are. It's a loss of less food on the plate, and somehow you have to like it and be okay with it. If not, then that mind is going to take you backward, and because that mind will still like what the lifestyle of 160 is.
Mm. Can
So
we talk about this for a little bit more? Because I think that this is a really important point for people to get. I was discussing this with one of my clients yesterday, how we were discussing discipline, right? And he brought up the idea of a drill sergeant and saying, well, sometimes you just need to force yourself into discipline like a drill sergeant in the military. And I pushed back a little bit and I said, well, is it really discipline when somebody is yelling at you and telling you to do something, and out of fear you are doing that thing that they're telling you to do, right? That's not discipline. That's almost a lack of courage, right? Because you're just doing what somebody else tells you to do. And is this the same reason why we see so many people come in, whether it's going with personal trainers or whether it's going, on specific, you might call it fad diets, and then, they force themselves into discipline over this time. But what you're saying is their mind doesn't catch up to their results, right? And so no matter whether they see the results or not, they're still going to go back to their original state because they didn't make the long lasting change in the mindset, right?
right, Socrates, said that eat to live, not
Mm.
live to eat, right?
Mm.
2,500 years ago, and 2,500 years ago, and he was the pedestal of self-discipline. People loved in him that quality, that virtue, right? So people notice that we have a problem with controlling ourselves long time ago, and they even put into different religions that gluttony is not a good thing and so on, right? But we've never really looked into it from the perspective of something that we do that is transparent. And in sports like Olympic weightlifting, wrestling, boxing, you have a scale, and then these athletes have to be on a scale. So somehow they have to deal with this with this
Mm.
weight the right way. But still, whenever they kind of a diet and they ride there, then they back up after, and it's really difficult and a hard way to keep that way yourself when you want to do more. So the happy body number, that first transparent number that comes in, is the ideal body weight. So that is the first kind of the physical goal up there that tells you what you're supposed to be and to have a good life, or to be a certain way, because it's the quality of living behind that number. And that
Mm.
is a really great number, because looking at that number, I would never be that number. I would be always bigger, right? Fatter and bigger, because how I would know what I'm supposed to be. So somehow, athletes that experience the scale and efficiency of the body system, and making the body the best when it comes to the body weight and the leanness, they learn where is that that system that is the best for us. So
Mm.
mine is about 140 pounds. So I competed in 136, and sometimes I was 140, 145, and lost weight to 136. And whenever I was doing that, it was really hard. It's really hard to be that way. Even when I was in 20s or 30s, it was really hard to make it happen. So it is important to have some kind of way of dealing with that and creating certain practice that would help you to make it happen and be graceful when it happens and be pleasant with it and actually achieve that way of living. So the next number that the Happy Body provides is the leanness. And the one thing that we go through when we go through with life is that we lose the muscle, right? And we become fatter, and we become obese, let's say. And I can be obese and I can be 140 pounds, right? Because it is body fat percentage. It's not really how big you are and how much weight you have. So I saw it many times in Los Angeles with women that they would have 30% body fat, but they could be 110 pounds. So this leanness is another transparency, another number that helps us to know. So the knowledge is a very important part of the Happy Body plan. When you know what to do, then it's easier to motivate yourself. It's easier to understand that you need 3 years or 5 years to do certain things. And it is true that sometimes, to gain, a certain amount of muscle, you need 3 years. And if you don't have it, it's not going to happen. So that knowing the number is one of the really great motivators. There was this coach in Russia that he said that I need 10 years to create a national champion. But if I don't have it, I will never create one, right? What does it mean? That I will break one before, because I will speed up that system. So the system of achieving. So the system of the achieving, when it is really fast, what really is happening, that the system is faster, we become stronger, but the recovery is really behind, and nervous system is behind. So we are becoming drained from the nervous system point of view, or will become injured because we are too fast, and the body cannot recover, cannot adapt to the changes. So that really speed has to be organized with micro progression, so the body has time to adapt to the changes, but not only the body, the mind as well. So if the mind has time to adapt, and you have to practice on the mind too. So we created a lot of writing, so a lot of poetry, we created during this process, because poetry is very helpful in accepting these hard choices on the way to understand how and why we are doing, to feel this, because the arts are really incredible guidelines. When we feel something what is wrong, we should feel it so strong that it could make us sick, and that when they say no, I will not do it, right? It's like a very strong aversion to eating certain food or doing certain exercise, which is not good for us. So when you have strong feelings, they can be helpful. When you know, that can be helpful. When you have a virtuous life, that is very helpful, because you know from virtues what is good and what is not. So because of the changes and working on the mind and creating books like what do we have? This one's like, this is the virtues, for example, daily practices for the modern Stoic, right? And it's one of the parts of the Happy Body, and it explores the idea of virtues, becoming the virtues, and not focusing on the side effects of virtues like happiness. So the joke about that Wayne Dyer was talking about this, I remember years ago, and he gave this story about two cats. An old cat is walking on the street, and yeah, he's, leisurely bouncing left and right, and then walking really nicely. And you see this young cat is running around trying to catch the tail. So he asked that cat, what is he doing? And the young cat said, well, I went to this school for young cats, and I found out that my happiness is in the tail. So I try to catch it, and when I catch it, I will have it. And so the old cat says, well, I didn't go to any school, but I learned that if I do what I'm supposed to do, and I do what is right, that happiness follows me wherever I go. So
Mm.
here is the is the story what Wayne Dyer was talking about Stoics. Stoics say
Mm.
one thing: work on virtues, and happiness is the side effect of that being that you become. It's not somewhere outside, right? So
Mm.
uh, we constantly work right on the side of the mind to match the physical, because that physical, if you create this excellence in the physical, the mind has to match it.
Yeah. No, I think that it's really appropriate that you have combined, the essentially the science of physical fitness and optimum body health with, the health of the mind as well, because the Stoics did talk a lot about virtues, and I think that the way that I see virtues is a virtue is something that if you do it, it makes you a healthy human being, right? So, whether you're focusing on what you can control and what you can't, that makes you a healthy human being. Having courage, having justice, having temperance and wisdom, these are things that make you a healthy human being. And I think that it's really important to talk about that in terms of health and fitness, because your health and fitness is one of the only ways that you can actually see a tangible result from your virtuous activities, right? You can see that in the way that your body holds itself. You can feel that in the way that you feel each day. And when you get a better posture, when you reduce your body fat percentage, when you get more flexible, like these are all things that you can feel tangible results from your virtue, right?
You know, what we do really has to be somehow aligned with this becoming a better human being, right?
Mm.
So becoming a better human being is of course is a hard choice, because if you want to become a better human being, then you cannot complain, you cannot blame, you cannot whine, you cannot use those things, you cannot have really fears of something or anxieties of something. It's not a part of it. So the part is really love of that, what makes us better over time. And the whole focus of Stoics is that uh, is the idea of becoming responsibility of becoming better, throughout your life, and work on it until you die. So why is that concept? Well, that's my strongest motivator in my life. It's that kind of a responsibility for it. And now, it's mixed sometimes with spirituality. And spirituality comes when we care. The word is care is the most important in the spiritual world. So we care. What do we care for? So let's say we care for the planet, right? We are the part of this awesome universe, right? There's
Mm.
billions and trillions of stars, and in the middle of that, we're just little very tiny planet, and on that planet we are, and then we understand that, and for some reason we happen, right? So if we happen in this universe, it's very special in a way. It's a
Mm.
extremely special that we are that. We don't know really why we are there, but we are there, right?
Yeah.
So there is a certain um, a responsibility that comes where of becoming here. So that's why Stoics are saying that go according to the nature, and then improve that nature, because the nature brought you here, and that's your purpose, and that's what you should do. Now, waste is not waste is a virtue, right? And waste is not a virtue. So to do things in life that would not be the waste is a really good thing. So for me, when I have ideal body weight 140, then I eat only food that supports 140. So it's just that's it. So I never really waste. The happy body people never waste. They always eat everything what they have because it's always enough and it's always not enough in a way. So
Mm.
you eat everything what is on the plate and you never waste. So it's a beautiful thing really to live the life that way. And there are a lot of like Tao and a lot of ways of living that really supports no excess and gracefulness of that. That's a virtue. That's a big virtue.
Mm.
And to be aligned with that virtue, and that where the physical is aligned with it, and to be transparent with it, it's very feeding you with the pride, with the love of your planet, of that thing. So from that perspective, really very inspirational, to
Mm.
be aligned with that. So there are other lines exactly with the physical and of course the virtuous, right,
Mm.
part.
Yeah, and I think that peace of mind and this certain calmness that we feel going through life is often a result of the work that you do on your body as well, right? It's like if you have a healthy body, you're going to have less stress in your life. You're going to feel better, which in turn leads you to acting better often as well. And I think that what's really great about what you're doing is you're saying there is such a thing as having almost a virtuous body, right? Because you know the exact numbers, you know what you should weigh, you know how much body fat you should have, you know exactly how much food you should have, so you're not going to be wasting anything or eating less than what you exactly need. It's about having a whole picture of health, which is a virtuous body, right?
Right. And now, let's say how we do things, how we breathe and how the mindfulness is created in the process of the physical exercise. So
Mm.
there is a six things that, we do, but there's a special breathing pattern that is in the happy body to create this singularity of the brain and the experience of the mindfulness and the experience of being one with the present moment. And if you create such a thing, that everything what happens outside on both sides, the future and the present, disappears, right? You don't think about these things. But that is the same purpose that TM has, or any kind of meditation, to be in the present, to be able to really exist only in that present without the outside. So the happy body first puts you just right away because of this six things that happens during every repetition and throughout the 30 40 minutes. So what is it? So when you inhale and you focus on that, right? And then you flex certain parts of the body, right? You flex. Then number two. Number three, there's a certain lift, and the lift ends, and there is a stretch. So you're stretching the body. And then you
Mm.
return, and then you exhale. So then you have this six things really happening every minute. So you can practice for calmness, for self-control, these breathing patterns, even wherever you are. So when we
Mm.
talk, I can inhale, can hold for 10 seconds, and exhale. And I can do it during the dinner. I can do it during the waiting for something. I can practice this breathing, special breathing that helps me to calm my heart, to invite into parasympathetic nervous system, to recover, and most important, just calm down and control
Mm.
myself. When I do that, my self control is a lot of better because I have more time between my emotional reaction and my mental reaction. So here is the second part. Now, the singularity and the whole the breathing patterns happens within every repetition, and that gives certain mantra throughout 30 minutes. After 30 minutes, if you do it the right way, the happy body, you can be spaced out because you forgot about the past, you forgot about the future, you are in the present, right? So then there is a meditation, music meditation, then you have 5 minutes, you lay down on the ground, and then there is a piece of music. So in 80s, 90s, we practiced a lot of guidance meditation, especially using music, and we searched for a piece of music that people could meditate with, that could have really power over them, that would help them to be in the present moment and to stop the mind from rumination and thinking about the past and the future. So they could have the ease that happens from that. So we found that piece of music, and now that piece of music is heard by people every day. Every day you hear the same piece of music, and eventually it has a very strong and powerful effect on you, like meditation. So you can imagine that when you're on the top of the ocean, it's very violent, it's very rough, and so on. But when you go deeper and deeper and deeper, it's more still and still and still, right? Until the place where it's stillness, completely, still. And that is really like nirvana. It's very soothing, very beautiful to be there, and is refreshing as well when you are there. So the whole purpose is how to experience this space, how to live the life that you would do the fitness at the same time. You could get, you could becoming stronger, at the same time you become calmer, and when you become calmer, you have better self-control. When you have self-control, that you then also you develop patience, you develop these qualities that are aligned with micro progression and hard choices, and becoming better over time and waiting for it. So delayed gratification is aligned with that too. This instant gratification that we have sometimes is not ruling us. It's actually, delayed gratification happens. It's just blessing in life if you develop that, because if you do, then you can get better over time.
How do you so say somebody comes into you and they say, I want to achieve these results, in this amount of time, but then you tell them, well, it's going to take you double or triple or whatever, however much time, and not what your expectation was. How do you get somebody to get into that mindset of accepting delayed gratification and focusing on the long-term results as opposed to trying to get the quick results?
Now, knowledge is good. First, you explain, that time is important for the progress that can happen and can be done. You talk about the coaches. You talk about how a sprinter needs 5 years, let's say, to go from 11 seconds to 10 seconds. How that 1 second is broken into hundreds of a second and throughout the year or two. And you talk about that, and then you say, sometimes a joke. And, a joke about that is that a father has a son and brings the son to the master, and then asks the master to teach his son happiness the way he taught him before. And the master, oh, sure, leave him here with me and come in an hour. So he talks to the son. He talks, and after about half an hour, he says, "Well, if you do this and this and that, in 10 years, you will really know how to live happily." But the son says, "Well, master, I am a diligent student. I always do twice as much when teacher asks me for. Wouldn't that be 5 years?" And the master says, "Well, in that case, it will be 20 years.
Yeah, because sometimes you can do way too much, right? You're skipping steps, and
Yeah.
you always have to do the steps that are necessary. Yeah.
If you push, right, if you go a little bit push, you have to go backward. Because you have to, why you going backward, you have to catch up with the nervous system, the mind, and the believing system and then feeling system that catches up with the physical. If that physical is ahead of it, you have to go back, and you will go back because, like I said, you can be overwhelmed, you can be overtrained, and you can be injured, and you have to go backward. So the 10 years becomes 20 years.
Hmm. Yeah. No,
Instead
that's
of
really
five,
important for people to
five.
recognize, right? And I think that honestly, so many people struggle with this. So many people struggle, including myself, all the time, of this idea that you can skip steps that are necessary. And I wanted to ask you about that because there are so many different, the fitness industry is just full of marketing, full of fads. Every year there's a new way to get the best body that you've always wanted in less time than ever before. Uh, and what you're doing is you're bringing virtue back into health and fitness and saying, no, this is a pursuit that requires certain steps. And you're essentially going back to the very basics of what it means to have a healthy, functioning body, right? So we've gone through this. We've said, okay, first you need to have the numbers. Actually, I'd like to talk about that. Can you talk more about the importance of the data of health and fitness, right? Because I think that one of the things that holds a lot of people back is the tracking element, right? Because there's very specific numbers that if you follow these numbers, you can get these certain results, right?
Well, the the respect of progress is very important. If you don't respect the progress and transparency of the numbers, then you can be invisible, right? Invisible, and then you can create that idea that you can do certain things in 3 months and not 3 years. And but it's funny because today uh, those things somehow it's a really, we are becoming more toward the base life, a basic life, and we start recognizing things that they are ridiculous. Like today, washboard up, in 3 weeks, such a ridiculous idea.
Yeah.
But when things are really volatile and the things are violent and crazy, then it's easy uh, to pass by, and it's easy to hide and then create things that they are vague and sell them, and but without any responsibility for delivery system for progress that it can actually happen. So I give you the example that about the cerebral palsy boy that I coached. So the boy was brought to me 5 years ago, and the boy was 25 years old, very lethargic, completely dependent on parents, with clothing and dressing and then toilet, everything, right? And very simple language like time to go to eat, time to go to bed, never conversation. It's just very difficult for parents, and they always search for a solution. So they brought this boy to me. I went with this boy to the gym, and that boy couldn't even lift aluminum bar, 15 pounds bar off the rack. It was so weak, right? And it was very lethargic, so never read the book because it couldn't sustain the awareness and I couldn't sustain the focus, and never watched the movie because we'll fall asleep. So the same way. So but when I gave him 3 pounds bar, he was able to lift. When I gave him 8 pounds bar, he was able to lift. And I gave him 13 pounds and he lifted. And then gave him back 15 and he lifted. So I knew right away that with the progress, certain progress, that boy is going to progress. But when I talked to the father, I said, well, we need 5 years from here to really create some kind of independence, and so your son could be kind of a normal, right, in the world. And the father said, yeah, well, let's do it. So we did. It was 5 years. It was about 4.5 years. So this boy goes through changes, right? And I aligned the progression of his progress. First year, the progress every week, 2-3 pounds, right, on the bar. And then the next year, 1 pound. The following year, half a pound. And the following year, quarter pound every week only, right? That created progress and stretch that he would end up at the end with lifting, pressing bench press more than his body weight. And that would set up incredible power, incredible strength, and energy enough to sustain any kind of living. And this micro progression was created to make it happen. And it happened exactly, it happened that way. 4.5 years passed during this process. The boy got stronger. The boy was able to study. The boy got tutors, and the boy changed his negativity to positive way of thinking, stopped being angry, and started being appreciative. And he started really thinking about what is normal, right, for him and the father. And then the normal would be to get to community college, all right? So we set up everything in motion so he could go to this community college. And we set up the math study so he could finish 8th grade. And within 2 years, he studied 10 hours a day, math, and was able to make it happen, these incredible hard choices for him. And about 3 months ago, he was accepted to community college. And he takes the Uber, he has conversations, now he has memory, he has some kind of something to say, and it grows and a lot faster. At the beginning, he didn't have any memory. He was, in his mind was nothing there. So, he couldn't have any conversation with anyone. And it was also very awkward. And because of that, he had to be taught with this micro-progressive system, all of it, right? Until he became what he became. Today, he is in college.
Yeah.
So, that micro-progressive system is very, it can be seen when it comes to the fitness, weightlifting, but how you can see it if it's poetry, right? You cannot see that thing. And who can see actually? Well, then you have to have the idea of mentors, very important. The mentors can create progress and this micro-progressive system for you and push each time very little and create that what needs to be created. Because the mentor looks at you from afar, backward. You cannot see forward, you can see only backward. So you really, cannot see far, right? So that's why mentors is extremely important. That's why Tim's book, about the mentors, that the tribe of mentors is really cool, because you can really read about how differently people approach mentors in life, and how they had mentors, and how mentorship is crucial with the micro progression. Otherwise, you go and you do too much poetry writing, and you will not be quality. And how you can measure it, how you can see it, how you can feel it. It has to be a poet that he opens this world for you of imagination and feelings, how to feel to the poem. The poetry is not the words, so you have to get somewhere into those feelings, metaphors, and so on, to actually feel, every poem inside, feel but not know only, right? So this happens the same with music and at any place where numbers are not there or it cannot be there, right? Yeah, I live in Silicon Valley now, and I learned in Silicon Valley about people, because people hear about business, and you could think, oh, they are rich people and so on, but I learned from them, or I saw so much patience. It's not different patience that like weightlifters for 10 years. Yeah, they have the same patience, they have the same execution, they have the same micro progressive system, and they are steady with it, and then consistent, and adapt to the changes. So it's like in weightlifting, there is a certain repetition, and there is adaptation. So with the happy body, there is the same system is working. That flexibility is working, right? So the system helps you to be more flexible, but at the same time, also the system helps you to be stronger and to grow the muscle. And the system also helps you to be faster. So a lot of those things are challenges in life, and challenge is something that you can respond to negative, right? Like a challenge to be 140 pounds, or a challenge to control yourself, right? Or you can respond it with actually becoming, because of the challenge, the obstacle is the way, right? So here is the way. That obstacles in life are these challenges that we face. And the happy body, you have ideal body weight is the very first challenge. The leanness is a big challenge. The strength is the challenge. So all this helps you to develop patience. All this helps you to develop delayed gratification. And this delayed gratification is so important for us because we develop all the frontal lobe, and actually develop this during this actually process of creating this micro-progressive system, creating this delayed gratification, waiting for something. And when we wait for something for 10 years and we develop that in that somewhere in that system, that it is really transparent to everything else. You can juxtapose that to everywhere else, no matter what, and you will see everywhere else that actually you need 10 years here, 10 years there, and 10 years there. It's nothing really. What is value in life can happen, in 5 years, maybe, right? But 10 years is if you want to really something happen to you, like creating virtuous life, you at least 10 years, virtuous really life work, right? It's not really 10 years. But if you want to have a way of living that is independent, a way of living that is improving you in every direction, right? The way of living that also helps you to develop self-control and be graceful and virtuous. Well, then you have to embrace yourself with the patience, or that system. When you interact with the system, because of the challenges, the obstacles present, actually will help you to become better.
Yeah, and that's a lot of what I got out of your story about training that young boy as well, is that health and fitness and having this delayed gratification and knowing the numbers and doing exactly what is necessary or what is virtuous for your body, that then transfers over into everything else in your life, right? There's a connection between your mind and your body that we don't often recognize. And when you have a healthier body and when you've worked for a healthy body and you feel better, you're going to act better as well. Can you talk to us about the transfer of virtue from your health and fitness journey into every other area of your life? I know you've just been talking about that, but doesn't it make sense that if you have virtue in the way that you treat your body, that will transfer into every other area of your life and how you act?
Oh, of course. When it's really hard, for a person, let's say, to control time, and let's say the person is snacking, right? And the person doesn't like time and doesn't like structure, okay? And then the person gets the happy body, and it means that you have to eat every 3 hours, right? Time comes in, and time is a first challenge, right? First, kind of a part of the plan, but the plan is the part of the frontal lobe, is the execution, is where all the strategies are, all the plans are, right? So okay, now when the person doesn't have it, he hates the plan. What's the instant gratification? Was instant and wants to wants to do what the person wants, right? Doesn't
Mm.
want to do really any other stuff, right? Wants to do that. And so the person will be irritated and frustrated by the numbers, by waiting certain time to start something. But that's delayed gratification, right? Because if you yeah, eat at 3 and then 6 and then at 5 you want to eat, this instant gratification comes in, boom boom. And some people have very strong instant gratification, and they act and they cannot delay. So when you have the opportunity now to delay, right, to experience delay, and of course you don't like it, but I always tell people that the wisdom of life is to fall in love with what you don't like, but it's good for you. so,
Hmm. Yeah.
so now that is the challenge, how to really like it. And then somebody comes back and says, all right, I have a problem to wait, and I usually eat before, and then so we explore the time idea. We'll explore what to do to actually wait, to meditate, or read something, write something. So work with that time of delay, and then after a while, when actually is mastered, right? That the time is mastered by the person. The person becomes really the person that is okay with the planning strategies, and when the person becomes like that, then when you go into every aspect of life, you go to college and you have the time, you have study, and you have the organization strategies, but all around the time and delay gratification. If you have a problem with that, then you will go to parties and you will be expelled, right? So
Mm.
now is that situation that you really need. You let's say you go to work and you work, and there's the time specific for things to do, and then if you don't have that, delay gratification, you can be irritated, and when you are irritated, then you will you can make really wrong choices, and when you make wrong choices, you can jeopardize your livelihood, your way of living. You can lose the job, or you can be
Mm.
expelled from school, and so on. So you engage this simple way of eating and being irritated because of it, and you master that. You start really developing in the frontal lobe the planning and strategies and delay gratification, and that is extremely helpful everywhere else,
Mm.
wherever you live. And it's needed everywhere, really. Whatever, if you want to improve almost anything in life, it will come with time, and it will come with delay gratification. It will come with the hard choice. It will come with doing certain things that you are not comfortable, and on and on and on, right?
Mm. Yeah, it's almost like that delayed gratification is kind of the mother of all virtue, right? That's the ability. If you can teach yourself or at least accept delayed gratification, then you can achieve pretty much anything throughout your life if you're willing to wait for it and do the necessary steps to get there, right?
Yeah, well, yes. And then the other thing is, how to make that happily, how to
Mm.
create this so it is not really cold, it is not pushed, it is not achieved with tight lips, right? But is achieved with joy and pleasure, and so during this also process, you have to find somehow that joy, and then pride that you become that. You have to really get into this frontal lobe, and create in you that the happiness that you becoming that person, that you are aligned with 120 pounds, and the 120 pounds is spiritual. It's not only great body and fit, but also it's spiritual. Also, it's philosophical, right? It's aligned
Mm.
with so many things. That can really inspire you, and that can create a great feeling inside. I have this article that I wrote, the triple happiness. So we do certain things, right? And then we are happy that we achieve that. It's a very first thing, right? And then this is another thing that can kick in if you really have, help from outside. It's the appreciation, because usually we are lacking appreciation, like delayed gratification and
Mm.
appreciation for small progress. We are completely lacking it, and then we want right away to be MD, but we lack appreciation before we really get to become MD. And then we become MD and we think about that we will be happy, but we are not happy there at all, right? We
Yeah.
became, and it came after 10 years of the hardship and things, and we are not happy, right? So
Mm.
during this 10 years of becoming, right, you have to have this small victories, and all these small victories, all these small processes of getting better. You have to be really learn how to be happy all that, and
Mm.
open to this appreciation of this, have to be happy that you are really becoming that person, that you created this small increments and progress and micro progression. So that's the second happiness. You first you really achieve physically something, and then you are also becoming happy that you actually becoming the person that you could create that. And that is
Yeah.
the appreciation in you is needed for that. And if you open that, then you can see that, and you can feel it, and you can feel it in the really small things. On a daily basis, you can be happy person, because on daily basis you appreciate very little small progresses, right? You make
Mm.
quarter pound, you're really happy, right? You say, yeah, that's good, right? And then you go. So I teach over and over to progress half a pound, 1 pound, quarter pound, but progressively throughout the year or two. And after a while, people really get it. And once they get to this progress, they develop this appreciation for achieving. So the third is, that happiness that comes from other people when they are exposed to you. So when
Mm.
they are exposed to you, and then you have self-control, you have this graceful way of living. You created this micro progression. You created this delayed gratification. You are not irritated. You are not frustrated, and you create a good feeling around. So the other people around you feel good that around you, and then they are kind of happy around you. So
Mm.
then you see it that you actually deliver that feeling in people outside, and that makes people whatever you become makes people and help people to be happy, but also send them into the virtues and send them into the work of delayed gratification, micro progression, time,
Mm.
patience, and all of it together, so they can create better life, good life, and better progress in life consistently. That is aligned with the sustainability over time, and also the joy of that becoming.
Mm. Well, people don't change because you tell them to change, right? They change because you offer them a better example of how to live if you are being that example, right? And I love that you're talking about how we should enjoy the journey of getting to a healthy body all the way, because if you love something, then you want more of that thing, right? And it's the same with virtues. It's the same reason why the Stoics said you should love your fate, because if you love your fate, then you will accept it as it comes and you'll be happy with it and it will be good for you. And the same with philosophy. The definition is the love of wisdom, right? So if you love wisdom, then you want more of it, and you will constantly be achieving that. And it's the same with your body, right? Like if you love your body, this is something that I don't see people do enough. It's like they jump in there and they have the wrong goals when it comes to their health and fitness. They do it because, well, they want to look good for other people, or they want to have that beach body. And I kind of tell them, if you love your body, then you want what is best for your body, right? And so it should come from a place of wanting only the best for you and your body, right? Can you
Yeah.
talk to us about like the goals that people set and how important that is?
Yeah, well, first is like I have to say about the role modeling that is extremely important. Like when people see that outside and they see that is possible, that is very inspirational for them. When they see somebody like me, 65-year-old, and then in moving like a young, 19-year-old, right? So that's very inspirational. And also when guys are seeing this, and women as well, that when they're in 30s, 40s, say, "Oh, I have 20 years to become this. I can do that, right?"
Yeah.
So that's good. So role modeling is really vital when it comes to wake up that system of virtues, the system of not just doing something like this cat running and cutting the tail, right? That's the shortcut in life, right? But becoming that cat that actually does something what is right and has this happiness following, all the time.
Mm.
So the creating this in people is extremely difficult. So I never have really in a way purposes that or goals that people should do. I tell them what can be done, but if they go on a journey, and then when they go on a journey, I constantly wait until they wake up from within, until
Mm.
they get the ownership of that. It has to come from them and not from me. So I will never push a person. I will wait and wait and wait. I will be patient for a year or two. I will be waiting until the person will say, I will do that, right? I want to do that. And I will wait. I will inspire that person. I will talk to the person. I will I will read the stories, and I will talk the jokes and things and so on until that person feels within inside and accept the hard choice. And
Mm.
that when it happens, it's really true, because that is happens from the virtues of that person, and that person is aligned now with the physical and what in the physical needs to happen. And that is
Mm.
the coaching or mentoring people toward really independence and not really depending and not push the person. I would never push the athlete. In weightlifting, gym, it's never this anxiety and the more or whatever. It's really quiet actually, and people lift weights, and when they do something good, and then somebody say, "I'm good," and that's it. That's enough. It's
Mm.
not this anxiety of another repetition, because weightlifters don't do it. It's like classical music, it's like one shot or two and it's done. It's very fast. So it's a way they learn to inspire by being, and by being virtuously, but not being this fake happiness, this fake anxiety around what we do. It's
Mm.
really the true person has to wake up, and the true person has to see and have to have knowledge about what the world is about, why that person is there, and 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 be okay with what needs to be done to improve, to create this progress, this micro progressive progress, to create delayed gratification, and start loving that way of thing. It can never be given to the person. You have to wait until that person gets it, and once that
Yeah.
person gets it, the person gets also what happiness is. The
Mm.
person really gets it, that it's coming from within and never comes from the outside.
Mm. Yeah, that's so important, and honestly, that's why I see that it's such a problem in our society that most of our goals that we set for ourselves these days are set because of outside influences. I want people to see me as this, or I want to feel this way when people look at me, or, you know, and the most profound joy that you can experience is when you've achieved something just for yourself, because it's good for yourself. And that's why I think virtue, as I'm sure you'll agree, virtue on any level and in any aspect of your life is so important, because virtue is good for virtue's sake. Like it is simply good because it is good for you, right? And I think the last thing that I wanted to ask you about is, you know, you talk about healthy aging a lot as well. And I think that's really, really important for a lot of people out there, because there are a lot of people who, you know, whether they're getting into their 40s, 50s, 60s, and, you know, maybe they haven't looked after their body their whole life, and they've got bad posture. And I know you talk about how the chest is the first thing that falls down, and then you start to crunch over. What's something that people can do right now today to start that path towards a better posture, a healthier life, as they get older?
Well, it's becoming older. It's a tough thing. So
Mm,
it's not easy stuff, right? Because when you get older, also you get weaker, you get
yeah.
stiffer, you get slower. All of it happens to you. So fighting with that is important. That you really become a fighter. You fight for your life. You fight for the quality of your life.
Mm.
And
That's where the stoic virtue of courage comes in, right? you have to
yeah,
you
you
have to
fight
fight
for it.
sometimes. Yeah.
Also, you of course you in a way create better and better and better. And then when you go down, you have to be graceful, because when you are graceful, you accept less. And you know, we have aversion to less. It is a
Mm.
very strong aversion to less. But at the same time, you have to have this no expectation virtue, that you are okay with less. And at the same time, when less happens, you make the quality of the less the most. So you know, when athletes go down from 35 to 90 or 100, right, they go on this road to go down. But that road for me is of course it's there, it's very depressing road, right? But it doesn't mean that I will get depressed, right?
Hmm.
So depressing road doesn't mean I am depressed on the road. But it is really going down is not really a good feeling. So you have to be virtuous, you know, how to deal with it. So
Mm.
when it happens, then you have to somehow reevaluate yourself all the time and adapt to the levels. So let's say I am 65, right? But I am 65, but I'm still a lot of better than 20-year-old is. And that gives me a really good feeling. I am not as good as I was when I was 25, because I followed the world champion level, right?
Yeah.
So because I work and I created that possibility for myself. So I'm still really having the body that is awesome body, awesome, right? So then I'm 65 and I will match the 20-year-old when I'm 85. So hey, I have 20 years to deteriorate, to get really worse, to actually meet that 20-year-old in the gym who will maybe do the clean and jerk, equal his body weight. And I will do that at the time when I'm
Yeah.
85, right? So there is you have to get serious really when you get old, and you have to fight for better quality constantly, and you have to fight to meet me when I am 75, or so, let's say, or 70, right? When I go down, you can meet me there, right? So there is this has to be this grace inside, first to accept the present moment as less, and you can build actually better you. I cannot build because I'm going down, right? Because I am the world champion. But
Mm.
all the people who are not, they can go from the lower level, actually build. They can build the body that they've never had in a certain age. So I have this man who came to me, he was 64, and when he was 75, Gib Myers, right? He said, he stood in and he said, you know what? I was 64 when I came here, and this is 11 years after. And I have better body today than I had when I was 64. I am a lot of better, more stronger, powerful, flexible, and I can do things that I couldn't even when I was in 20s.
Yeah.
Right? He could do snatches, powerful snatches when he was 75, 76 now. He does still snatches, full snatches. 2 hips were removed and he does snatches. Well, if the body is like that, if that can be created, that is really an awesome thing. Everybody can create that thing, and it is available for everybody. What you really need is like, with this happiness is available for everyone, but so is depression, right? So, that the 2 things are available for you. With the physical is, we do things anyway, right? So why not to do the things that they are, hard choices? Why not to do the things that they guarantee the progress, that you are going to get better? Why not to do these things instead of we're doing something meaningless, completely fitness level things that they don't have a power to make you better over time? So you will spend 10 years, right? And 10 years will pass, and 10 years can pass on, on entertainment, instead on really making your, quality of life better and better over time. You will still do things like I do, right? You still do something, you hike, or, you go a little bit yoga, a little bit this and that, right? But nothing is really plan and strategize to that hard choices and progression. So if you choose that really intelligent way of living, that you're aging and, like adapting to aging and time, will be fantastic, will be wonderful, because my life at 65 is fantastic, is wonderful. Just like, I don't have any signs of flexibility loss. I have a strength loss. I went from 340 pounds clean and jerk to 220, right? Okay, I have lost here, but on snatches I'm really fast, coordinated. Everything, nervous system is working beautifully, flexible. So I'm fantastic. I love it, but it doesn't come really with hard life, right? It doesn't come with giving up on things. It doesn't. It's like this is created as a normal thing. I go to the gym, you go to the gym. I do certain things, you do certain things. But it's not really like I'm like missing something, or I am doing something that is really so hard or something. No, I'm just having a good time. Actually, I will do the repetition, wait about 2 minutes, I do another one, right? So it's not like I'm exhausting myself, or I'm doing something that is incredibly exhausting, or it takes a lot of energy out of me. It's just to the contrary. Actually, whatever I do is very loving of the body, is very caring for the body, and in that way I can create progress. As soon as you push the body a little bit to the extreme, that the body that has problem with the recovery system, then that is why it cannot get better.
Yeah, that's so great. I love everything that you just said there, and it all makes perfect sense, right? You make a decision whether you think you do or not, and the decision that you make is going to lead to certain results, just like the decisions that you make are leading to certain results in your life. And I can tell, and I'm sure that all the listeners will be able to tell as well, that you're an extremely happy person. You're happy with your results, and you're happy with your choices, and and the idea of aging gracefully as well is one that I have heard before but never fully understood until I heard it from you. Understand that you're not always going to be able to lift the same amount. You're not always going to get the same results, but you can still be aligned with your natural body's response to things and your natural, I guess, decline, right? And that can be a beautiful thing as well.
Yeah, and possibility of the body. It's the body is a beautiful thing. It's like incredible thing. What the body can do, in the body is 60 or 70-year-old. When I watched this Charlie Henderson in 2002 in Australia, in Melbourne, and a lift, a clean and jerk, the weight equals his body weight, and he's like 80 years old. Wow. That's incredible. He came with his wife, to the banquet, after, and I was watching him, and it's just like, I was in 40s, right? And I was watching him. I said, wow, this guy is 80 years old. He went in like a panther, like a panther. He was not really, he's not a big guy, but move like, this soft and gentle moves, and big and smooth. Pick up the champagne. Somebody was carrying champagne. Pick up that champagne. Another one for his wife. A wife is probably 82, right? And they are having this conversation. You can see how powerful that thing is, right? How beautiful it is. They lived 8 years, right? And they are in this stage of capable of doing anything what they want, right? Wow.
Yeah.
I said, wow, that's incredible. If I could transcend that to the happy body, transcend these numbers I've got, that would be incredible for people to create this Henderson when they are 30 years old or 40 years old, and keep that, that music, until they are 80 or 90, right? That would be incredible. And that's what I did.
Yeah, I love that. And yeah, Jerzy, I want to send as many people over to get your books and everything and join your program. So I'm going to put all of the links in the show notes of this show and make sure that they can head over there. But I want to thank you so much for the conversation. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. And I think that you bring such a joy you bring an art to the progression of your body, right? To the healing of your body. And I think that that's really important. And especially your love of virtue and your understanding of the way that Stoics saw virtue is so important for health and fitness in every aspect of life. So I want to thank you again, and we're going to have you back very soon.
Awesome. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, so there you have it, my interview with Jerzy Gregorek. Now, make sure you head to the links in the show notes where you can find all of the stuff that he's up to online, as well as his book, The Happy Body. And seriously, go check it out. He's doing such great work there. And the reason why I love Jerzy so much is because you can see that at his age, he has been living the gospel that he's been preaching his whole life. And he still does it, right? He's still getting after it, and he's still so mobile, so fit, so healthy, and he seriously towers above most of us youngsters. So seriously, such a great guy to follow. Make sure you jump on there. Let him know how much you appreciated him coming on the show as well. So without any further ado, I hope that you've enjoyed this episode. I'll talk to you next time. But until then, I hope that this episode has helped you on your rise to the good life. Ciao. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Practical Stoic Podcast. If you'd like to stay up to date with the Practical Stoic community and everything to do with this podcast, then just go to my website, simonjedrew.com, and subscribe to the Practical Stoic Weekly, a newsletter that I send out every week with updates and all sorts of great Stoic insights. You can also find me everywhere online by searching Simon J. E. Drew. See you next time.